Hi there. Welcome to our Ask Me Anything event with Emmy Award-winning veterinarian Dr. Jeff Werber, Vet to the Stars. Hi, I'm Larissa Schenk, Marketing Director here at PetMeds, America's most trusted pet pharmacy. Pets are family and we know it, and that's why we understand pet parenting generates questions, a lot of questions, some of which are head-scratching behavioral mysteries. We recently asked you, our PetMeds family, to submit your top pet parenting questions through our Facebook and Instagram accounts. Your queries were fantastic and we heard you loud and clear. In partnership with AirVet, we're delighted to bring you this informative Ask Me Anything session with Dr. Jeff. Dr. Jeff, take it away.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jeff Werber, Chief Veterinary Officer of AirVet, and I'm thrilled to be helping you out. There are a lot of great questions coming from 800 PetMeds, both on Instagram and Facebook. So let's get started. First one, our Cassie is overweight, but as a senior is slow moving. How can I help her lose weight and get some exercise when walking for a while is hard on her? Well, it's interesting. There is this battle because the bigger a dog gets, the less they want to do. The less they do, the bigger they're going to get. So sometimes in order to get them moving, it's important to modify diet. And I'm talking, if the dog is really overweight, I'm looking as much as a 40% reduction, meaning they'll be eating ultimately 60% of what they're eating now. Once they start losing the weight, we encourage them to get out. And I think once they start seeing that they can do it, they'll want to do it even more. And that's what's so cool about it. So when you are going to do that initial diet reduction, you really want to do it very slowly. If you like take what she's eating now and take away 40%, she's going to look at you like, wait a second, that's appetizer, where's dinner? So you want to do it very gradually. You want to work slowly reduce. And as every day, maybe cut away 5% and then do that for a couple of days and then another 5% and then another 5% until you get down to a 40% reduction. In the meantime, try to encourage her the exercise. Maybe if she's treat motivated, take a treat along with you. The lower calorie the treat, the better. I don't know, an apple without the skin, a carrot, something like that. Once they start losing the weight, it's going to be easier for them to get out and walk around. And I think you'll see a major improvement. And once she starts losing the weight and walking, then you can probably actually go back up a little bit on the food and she won't gain weight anymore because now she's doing more exercise. But it's basics. The more exercise you do, you're going to lose weight. The less calories you take in, you're going to lose weight. So they kind of work together. Next up. I would like to ask about heartworm medications. Is it too hard on smaller breeds to use heartworm meds that include the plus, where it worms them every month as well? I was told 2 years ago that it's harder on smaller breeds. I'm a big fan of medicating for what is necessary. I've never been a fan of just automatically doing medications for parasites, intestinal parasites, because typically adult dogs aren't going to get intestinal parasites. So I'm a fan of just keeping them separate. Now, there's some great flea, tick, and heartworm medications, and those I would highly recommend looking into because they're going to need the flea and tick anyway. But as far as the intestinal parasites, I don't think it's as important. Now, there are some products out there, you want to speak to your veterinarian, that are injectable products that is protection for either 6 months or now they are reintroducing a 12-month solution. It's a single injection that will control heartworms for either 6 or 12 months, something you want to check with your veterinarian about. I am a big fan, however, if heartworms is a problem in your area and you need to stay on heartworm preventive, then look into the combination flea, tick, heartworm meds. There are 2 of them out there. Speak to your veterinarian. Very effective, very safe. Okay, next up. Why do older dogs get fatty deposits even though they are on an excellent diet? It's a great question and warms my heart because I see this in Labradors, and I've had Labradors for almost 50 years, and my current lab has a couple of, they're called lipomas, and has nothing to do, well, I shouldn't say nothing to do. If they are prone to them, then yes, they're going to get them even though they're nice and lean. So there's limited issues at what you can now. If you have an overweight dog that is getting a lot of them, then absolutely, as we discussed earlier, you want to work on a calorie reduction, increased exercise, and once they calorically are down to a normal amount and start losing weight, you may see a reduction in these fatty masses. Sometimes you won't. Sometimes the fatty masses stay about where they are. Sometimes they seem to grow. They're typically benign. And my criteria for removal are if they're getting bigger or if they're in a location that it is affecting the dog's ability to move, to function. Like I had one big one on one of my mom's dogs actually that was under the arm, and we watched it. The dog was older, said, come on, older dog, leave it alone. Meanwhile, it was getting bigger and bigger. She wasn't aging. I mean, she was aging, but not seeming like it. It got so much to the point where she couldn't even walk. So I went ahead and I removed the tumor, and she did beautifully well. Okay, are there any supplements or diets that can help my dog not to be prone to any cancers? And that's going to be a tough one. There are definitely some cancers where nutrition may play a role. In fact, interestingly, the new goal in understanding more about cancers is the immune aspects of the cancer. In other words, since many of these drugs are not great at controlling the cancer, let's stimulate the body's own immune system to attack the cancers. For example, what they're now doing for melanomas is taking the melanoma and pulverizing it, putting it into a vaccine form, re-injecting it back in the dog to let the dog's own antibodies start being stimulated to beat the melanoma, and then it will control the melanoma on the dog. Immunotherapy is kind of the new hot button. Ultimately, we are hoping that if we can stimulate an immune system to fight against the cancer cell, that might be a great solution for fighting cancer. So in answer to your question, this is coming from Sandy on Instagram, yes, anything you can do, antioxidants are great, anything you can do, keeping them healthy, keeping them lean to stimulate a strong immune system might help. I'm not saying it's going to help, but ultimately, I think we're going to see in the future that a lot of the answers to beating cancer are going to be stimulating the dog's own immune system to fight the cancer. Okay, next up, and this is coming from Terry, also on Facebook. Why does my 1-year-old lab mix chew everything he can get his mouth on? Plastic, wood, anything is getting chewed up. He has lots of chew toys and gets lots of attention. Welcome to the world of Labradors. My joke about labs, and again, I've had them for many, many, many years, is they will eat anything that's not bolted down or doesn't eat them first. And that is a classic case here of a Labrador who will chew on everything. The best thing you can do is knowing that your dog has this condition. It's called pica, where they are eating inanimate objects, not meant to be eaten, not their chew toys, not their treats, but not their food, but everything else on the planet. Is just knowing that it's a phase, hopefully. And Terry doesn't mention, 1 year old. So 1 year old Labrador is still a puppy. I mean, yes, and they're going to want to eat everything in sight. So your job is to, knowing this, is to start minimize the attention to these objects, maybe removing them from his sight or removing him from their sight. And just continuing to reward. When he's chewing on his own chew toy, try to move everything out of the way. And when he gets to starting chewing on his own chew toy, then it's time to give him reward. Say, oh my God, you're such a good boy, you're such a good girl. And give a little treat. Again, low calorie, but give a little treat. Start rewarding the good behavior. Because you can't tell a dog who wants to chew and is a chewer, which is a natural, normal, essential dog behavior, you can't say no. What you want to do is redirect that behavior to that which is more appropriate. And when they're doing it, that's when you get to give them a lot of positive reinforcement. So work on that and get back to me and let me know how that works out. But don't give up your Labrador. They're the best dogs. Okay, from Michelle on Facebook. Why does my dog keep eating grass? And why does my other dog like to eat frozen poop? Well, that is an age-old question about why do dogs eat grass? Do they eat grass because they know if they eat the grass, it's going to cause vomiting? So many think that when a dog is a little bit of an upset stomach, they're going to eat grass. I'm not sure that's the case. I just think they like it. It happens to be sweet. Chlorophyll has a sweet taste. It settles them. They don't realize that 20 minutes, a half hour later, an hour later, they're going to vomit that grass. Typically, when we use something called aversion therapy, that means that we give them something that when they eat it, it makes them vomit immediately within minutes. They will probably want to avoid that in the future. But when they eat grass, it's not immediate vomiting. It's usually at least 20 minutes, a half hour later or longer. they don't make, if they liked it at the time, they don't make the association that, oh, when I eat the grass, I'm going to vomit. So they're going to continue to eat the grass because they like it. It might be soothing to them. It's sweet. It's moist. So I've asked many a dog who eats grass, why they do it. Not one has answered me yet. So I wish I could tell you for sure, but there's no one really knows the real answer to that one. Okay, next up, and this is coming from Anne on Facebook. What is the best treatment for dogs who have a problem with yeast of the feet? Okay, they call it Frito feet. Well, yeast infection is pretty common in dogs. We see it most in the ears. We can see it on the skin and certainly on the feet. So the key is to, first of all, kind of keep the feet as dry as possible using an antifungal spray. You can use antifungal creams too, even antifungal creams with a little bit of corticosteroid in them. The problem is that's going to add moisture. And so I'm not a big fan of greasy things on topically on dogs. Sometimes we have no choice. But if you can get an antifungal spray, for example, something like a KetoChlor or KetoHex, which is chlorhexidine with ketoconazole, and spray that in between the feet, that helps. There's also a great powder that I really like. You need to talk to your veterinarian about it. I think you need a prescription for it, called Neopretif powder. Neopretif powder is antibacterial, antifungal, anti-inflammatory, and because it's in a powder form, it's drying. So it actually works really, really well. You can put it inside the feet. So when they come inside from being outside, you want to go ahead and take care of the feet as well. So that's going to work. That should work pretty well. It helps. And another thing you can do is when you walk them, especially if it's very moist out, get little booties. And if you get little booties on their feet, that protects the feet, and that might help as well. And another thing, dogs lick their feet a lot. When they lick their feet coming inside because they're dirty, whatever, then the problem is, again, they're getting moist. And moisture in darkness, which is in between the toes, it's dark, it's moist, that's a perfect environment for yeast. So do your best to keep the area clean and dry, and hopefully you can win that battle. Oh, this is a dangerous one. You're asking a veterinarian. What's the best way to thank you to my vet for caring so much for my animals? Well, if they have a bank account that can use a little more, no, I'm just kidding. Find out, ask the staff, seriously, what they like. If they like, wine, or if they like tools, whatever their hobbies are. I happen to like my scotch. I have a huge scotch collection. I drink it very infrequently, but when I do drink it, I really savor it. And so people have gotten me really nice bottles of scotch. Over the holidays, I'm sure there's wine. One of my friends makes their own homemade Kahlua. They gave that. So, it's not what you give per se. It's the fact that you are giving with a nice note. It's the note that whatever it is you're giving is more important than whatever you're giving at the time. Just letting him or her know how much you appreciate them, how much your pets appreciate them. And it's really nice to know. I mean, I get, when you get kudos from a client, when you get a nice review, it's fantastic. So I'd concentrate more on what you say along with whatever gift you choose than it is the gift itself. Okay, here we go. How to trim my parrot's claws. I rescued her. Her wings were cut badly when whoever clipped them initially. We wrap her in a towel and she hates it so badly. Well, the reason why she hates it so badly is because she's had bad experiences. Even though because of the wings and being wrapped in a towel, you may need to do nothing. Just wrapping them in a towel brings back those bad memories. So it's just very important because those little nails bleed. Your goal is to just trim the tips. Don't see necessarily how short you can get them. You might want to do it the first few times with your veterinarian or with a veterinary technician who is accustomed to trimming birds' nails and the beak possibly, and even trimming the feathers. So it's not something I would have you do at home without some guidance initially. And the best way to get the guidance is to take your bird, the parrot, to a bird vet, a veterinarian who is very comfortable working with birds, and have them show you how to do it, how the best way to do it, then have them watch you do it. And when you're comfortable with it and they're comfortable with you doing it, then it's time to start doing it on your own. Be very careful though, because when they bleed and they're tough to stop. And also, I'm sure they'll tell you, have some sort of quick stop powder very handy when this happens. Okay. Next up, what do you do when dogs' paws get cut, sore on snow and ice? And this is coming from James on Facebook. Well, James, we talked about this earlier with the yeast problem in dogs' feet, and it's very, very similar. The goal here is because ice itself, and not just the ice, a lot of municipalities put down salt or chemicals on the ice to help melt the ice. That is very irritating to dogs' paws. So what I recommend, if you are living in a city where they're doing that, the ice cold itself, you can wash that off, brush that off when you get home. But if you're in an area where the ice is being treated, they're trying to melt the ice, you definitely want to get booties for your dog. You can get them online. There are many different types and brands. They slip on. They have a Velcro wrap around the carpus, around the wrist, or around the hock in the back. And it's there to protect the feet from these elements, from the chemicals that are put down to help de-ice the snow and the streets and the sidewalks. And you want to definitely protect the feet that way. Very easy to apply, the wraps, the pooties. I said you can get them online. You can get them at pet stores. Very, very effective. And if you don't use them, and when you get home, again, brush the snow, look inside in between the toes. Try to get any debris out that might be stuck because of the ice. Because what happens is the ice sticks to the fur, and then it melts, it makes it wet, and then you're setting yourself up for the other problem of possibly getting yeast infections in the feet because of the moisture. So take them inside, warm them up, de-ice them, and then go ahead and dry the feet really, really well. If you want to use that drying powder, that's not a bad idea either. Okay. What would be a reason for a dog is eating dirt? This is coming from Yvonne on Facebook. Yvonne, we talked about pica. Some dogs just like to eat inanimate objects. There might be a smell. There might be. It's hard to tell why. I've asked many. No one will give me an answer. So it's just we're guessing. And the pica is a behavioral issue. They derive obviously some pleasure. It's probably not the taste. Maybe it is. Maybe it's the feeling inside the mouth from eating the dirt. Maybe it's because they're hungry. So my recommendation is if you have a dog that is eating dirt, you need to obviously see they're doing it, keep them away. And when they try to eat the dirt, ask them to sit, give them something that they are allowed to chew on. When they do chew on that, then give them a little treat. The whole idea is through positive reinforcement, trying to direct that natural behavior of eating that which is not appropriate to eating something that is more appropriate, and by doing so, they get a treat. So it's whenever you're doing things like this, it's not easy. It's not an overnight fix. You have to know that. It takes time. It's little baby steps. Sometimes I've gone so far as to recommend people get a basket muzzle, not a muzzle like you that closes the mouth, because those are very dangerous, especially while the dog is walking and exerting him or herself because they can't breathe. But you get a basket muzzle, they can breathe, they can pant, they can actually drink water, but they can't get their mouth on dirt or something they shouldn't be eating. And when you get home, you reward them by giving them their own chew toy and a treat on top of that. And again, slowly, the hope is to redirect that normal behavior or a natural behavior. It's not normal, but it's natural for them to want to chew on things, and always direct it to that which is more appropriate. Again, positive reinforcement. Okay, next up, Debbie on Facebook. What natural product would you recommend for allergies? I'm not sure if it's food or environmental. Great question. So first of all, one way to tell about food or environmental, on dogs especially, is, and again, it's not foolproof because there is overlap, but typically the presentation of dogs, the allergies when they are allergic to food, are they're chewing at their feet, they're going after their ears, and they're rubbing their face, either on carpet or against a wall, etc. So that is pretty much when that's happening and they're really attacking their feet, licking tremendously, biting, you'll see raw feet, red feet, then think of food allergy. Environmental allergies or inhaled allergens, those usually manifest by the licking and chewing and scratching underneath in their abdomen and chest. They are going after the inner thighs and the caudal thighs. So abdomen, ventrum, which is the lower part of the body, inside the thighs. Think of inhaled allergens we call atopy. If it's flea allergy, we see more lesions on the rump, just above the base of the tail. So, and then when it comes to contact irritants, their lesions are where they're contacting. So if a dog is lying down on something like a wool rug and they have hypersensitivity to wool, that's where you're going to see the allergens. So first thing to do is try to identify what the culprit is, because if it's food, the best thing to do is start reevaluating what you're feeding and try things that might be more hypoallergenic. The big four when it comes to food allergies, and again, the dog didn't read the book, so they may not know this. So yeah, I can't promise, but in every case, but it's going to be chicken, beef, corn, and wheat. If you can avoid those four as you're testing different diets, that might be a good idea. Better yet is to look for what we call novel protein diets. These are diets that have some protein that the dog has probably never seen before. Things like baby duck, baby bison, venison, rabbit, kangaroo, salmon, whitefish. So look for things like that, because those proteins, by the fact that the dog has never been exposed, it's unlikely he or she will be allergic, at least right away. And as far as the grains, things like sweet potato, oats. Again, stay away from the corn and wheat. It could be barley. It could be wild rice. So white rice has been used in foods before, so that may not be a good one. But so look for green peas, string beans. I mean, there are so many food sources that have grains, fibers that the dog and proteins the dog has never seen before. That's a great place to start if you suspect food allergy. If it's environmental, if it's a contact allergen, and it happens every time they're lying down on a particular towel or blanket, look, what are you using as a fabric softener? It could be that sensitivity. Or remove that from his environment and see if that makes a difference. If it's inhaled allergies, whether it's grasses, weeds, trees, pollens, tobacco smoke, things like that, then you have to worry about, you're going to see the allergens mostly on the ventrum, inside the thighs, and there's really no natural allergy remedies that I know of that really work. You could try CBD to calm them down a little bit. Maybe Benadryl might help just to calm them down. But ultimately, there's some really good products available through your veterinarian. Fleas, I've heard that some of the skincare products, like a Skin So Soft, might be beneficial. You might want to check with a holistic veterinarian who might have some remedies that could help you as well. So do some homework. There may be some solutions out there, but there are always some good solutions available from your veterinarian, but I don't know how natural they may be. Can a dog with Cushing's disease have surgery? This is from Penny on Facebook. The answer is yes, but first we need to make sure the Cushing's disease is somewhat controlled. There is Cushing's, just by the way, for those of you who don't know, is a disease where there is a hypersecretion, either through stimulation of the pituitary gland to the adrenal gland or the adrenal gland itself, that is spitting out too much cortisol in the body. It's as if the symptoms are as if we are giving too much cortisone. And so they get bloated, can get thin skin, tremendous appetite, drinking a ton of water, peeing a lot because they're drinking a ton of water. And it's a disease that really needs to be managed. Can we cure it? No, but we can manage it very well. Your doctor has access to a medication called Trilostane or Veterol. It is effective, something that you need to first make a diagnosis. You need to see your veterinarian for that. Once the diagnosis is made, then the treatment could be going on. Once, however, the dog is doing well, and there is a test that we do to monitor how well we're controlling the Cushing's, then yes, it would be okay to do surgery. But understand, surgery is a stress in of itself, being anesthetized. So whatever that element of control might be affected for a short while immediately after the surgery. But I would not, if the surgery is a necessity, like doing teeth, keeping their teeth healthy, removing tumors, I would not hesitate to do the surgery once the pet is controlled from the Cushing's. Next up, why does my Shih Tzu scratch so much? Well, we just talked enough about allergies. And this is coming from Glenn on Facebook. Glenn, the discussions we had just now on the environmental allergies, usually it's an allergy. I would say the reason, it depends where on the body your dog is scratching so much. If it's face and feet, ears, I would think maybe food. If it's ventrum and ears, inhaled allergies also present with ear scratching, then think of inhaled allergies. If it's the rump, I would look for fleas. And one thing to note, for any allergy, one of the most common, we call results of scratching and irritating and raw skin is secondary skin infection. And it's very important to note that if you're treating allergies and you notice what we call erythema, red skin, scabs, sores, pyometra, we call it pyoderma, skin infection, then you need to know that this dog, your pet, should be treated as well for the secondary infection. Because if you solve the allergy problem with whatever you choose to solve it with, working with your veterinarian, but you don't work on the treating the skin infection, they will continue to scratch. And you're going to think that, well, that medicine doc you gave me is not working because my dog is still scratching. Well, make sure that the infection is being controlled as well. Same thing with fleas. How many times I've sent dogs home on really, really good allergy medication, and then I get a call, they're still scratching. I said, any sores? No sores. The dog is just still scratching. I said, bring the dog in. And I take a really good look, and guess what? Still has fleas. Yeah, if you don't take care of the flea problem, which is the source, then they're going to still scratch every time that flea takes a bite. It's going to be itchy despite the allergy medication. So it's important that you look at the dog as a whole, and you need to treat all of the parts that cause the allergy. The actual immune response, thus the medication, the secondary infection with antibiotics, the fleas with flea product. So it's sort of like an all-inclusive approach. If you just treat one of them and you don't take care of the others, your dog is still going to scratch. Now, I want to go back to one question that I didn't cover, and that was when Michelle's question on Facebook about the grass and why the dogs eat grass. She also mentioned her other dog likes to eat poop. Coprophagia, another one of those age-old questions. Why do dogs eat poop? It's because they can. I can give you my theory. No, I've never heard of a definite answer. We just don't know. There are dogs that are extremely well-nourished and still want to eat poop. There are dogs that just like it. There are dogs that maybe are afraid of getting punished by pooping from being punished when they were little. So when they poop outside where they're allowed to on the backyard, they eat it because they want to hide the evidence. It's really hard to tell. What I have found, and this is just observation, and it may be totally wrong, but I feel good because I came up with something and it works for me as far as to tell clients. I find that female dogs tend to eat their own poop more, and I'll tell you why. And male dogs tend to eat other poop sitting in the ground. Like if you have two dogs, they'll eat the other dog's poop. Here's my feeling about this. As I said, I may be wrong. It's just a theory. Call it Dr. Jeff's theory. Now, dogs, females, the reason why in nature, they have to protect themselves and their puppies, their offspring, from predators. And one of the things predators would pick up is the scent of poop. So mom would always lick the butts of her little puppies, and she would eat her own poop to basically destroy the evidence, to remove any sense that might be picked up by a predator. My theory. Male dogs, on the other hand, they want to lay claim to an area. They're very territorial. So what they do is when they pick up the scent of another dog's poop, they want to remove it. So they eat the other dog's poop and they leave theirs because they want to make sure that the only smell there is their own, and that is the way they lay claim to their territory. Again, just a theory. I thought it makes sense, and that's my observation. Now, if you have a male dog that has gotten punished before, yes, it's going to eat its own poop as well. But a lot of male dogs, when you're walking them, they'll pick up another poop and eat it. I have 5 dogs, and it seems like my lab, who is very territorial, likes to eat the other dog's poop. He doesn't touch his own. So maybe I'm right, maybe I'm wrong, who knows. Anyway, this was a lot of fun. I really enjoy helping people with their pets. Any more questions, you can get to me. You can get me through Facebook or Instagram or from 800 PetMeds. I would love to help you out and answer questions, and maybe we can do this again.
Thank you for joining us today. We hope you found this Ask Me Anything session as insightful as we have. We look forward to hearing which of Dr. Werber's answers you found most helpful. Many thanks again to Dr. Jeff Werber, our PetMeds friends at AirVet, and our PetMeds family members who submitted pet parenting questions. Have a wonderful day.